and do it anyway. So here we are. We're going to do the CNT 120 Chapter 3 addressing on networks. We're going to be looking at the data link layer, which is our layer 2 layer, which is cover our Ethernet addresses, also called our physical address, also called our MAC address. Then we're going to be motoring on to the network layer, or layer 3 addresses. We're going to be hitting our IPv4 and our IPv6 layer addresses. We're going to hit the transport layer and look at some of the TCP and UDP port numbers. We're going to use Wireshark to examine the packets as they flow. I'm going to be running through the lab. I'm not going to do 100% of it for you because that really would defeat the purpose of you learning how to do it. But if we take a look at the lab itself, if I bring this up, what I want to make sure that everyone is doing when they're doing the lab is you'll see in the lab, like here, it's set up on different sections for your directions to work. Okay, don't pick the Windows PC column and go down through and do all of that, and then come over and do all the Linux. Work left to right because you have to work with both pieces at the same time, because it goes the Windows section will then have to be talking to the Linux section, and it can't talk to the Linux section if you haven't done the Linux section also. So you can be using, I don't care what version of Linux you want to use. You can use the one you did with the Oracle VirtualBox, or you can do, like I'm using here, I'm going to use VMware. It's up to you, okay? I've printed out my lab, so I'm just going to be going through this lab here, left to right, the entire way. I would suggest to you that if you're going to do this lab, that you not do it while we are working. So, because if you make changes to your IP addressing in here while we're doing the lab, you will not be able to continue watching the lab being done, because you'll be kicked off the internet, because I'll be changing your IP addresses in the middle of the lab. I'm going to be taking my time going through it. I'm drinking a cup of coffee. I got TV on here in the background. It might get a little loud up in here because I'm expecting a package delivery from Amazon soon, and there is a large, loud dog at my feet. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to bring up my command prompt, and I'm going to bring up my VMware. So I've got Linux on the right-hand side. I got my Windows command prompt on the left-hand side. And the first step says in Windows command prompt, open a command prompt, issue the ipconfig/all command. And I have that already done one time, but I will do it again here for you. ipconfig/all. Please notice ipconfig is all one word. Then you have a space. It is a standard logical programming syntax here, where it has a command. The command is ipconfig. Then after you do a command, you have to have a space, because then the operating system needs to know that that was a command, and after that command, we have different parameters that we have to look for. And then we have a space, and then the slash, and the all. And that means after that, there's different things that I could put in. So, on my system, I have a number of interfaces, okay? So this is the wireless LAN interface that I'm currently using right now. I am not hardwired, so when I'm doing my configuration changes, I will be looking at my wireless LAN adapter. If you are physically hardwired, like we would be if we were in the classroom, you would be using your Ethernet adapter. Okay, so we all have different adapters. So if I scroll up a little bit, okay, so there's my wireless LAN adapter. These are virtual adapters here. There's my virtual box adapter. There's my actual plug-in Ethernet adapter. Okay, so you have to just know what you're looking for. Know which ones you're actually using. So there's my wireless LAN adapter down here. Okay. No IP address on that one. No IP address on that one because they're virtual. See virtual adapter 3, virtual adapter. I don't want to hit that. It's in my way. More VMware stuff. So one screen at a time. And there's the end one, my wireless LAN adapter. You can see it has an IP version 6 address. You'll see here it has a local address as well for my IP version 4. There's my link local IP version 6 address. There's my temporary global address that I got from the wonderful world of Windows. And there is my global IP address here. Microsoft is really big on giving you temporary addresses that are going to be put out into the real world because they don't believe in putting your stuff out there. So it's going to be a little bit different in some cases than with Windows. Get this out of the way. Hope it's not everybody's way. Okay, so I did my IP config command, and we scroll up until we see the NIC that you're doing. That's what we just did. So the MAC address of this PC, okay, because I'm using my Wi-Fi, is this guy right here. So there is my MAC address. Another name for MAC address is also the physical address. It is also called the Ethernet address. It really just depends on the operating system that you're using. So, for example, if we come over to here and I open up a terminal inside of my Linux box and I did an IF config, you'll see that my address, okay, is my ENS33 because it's a virtual adapter. This is the one that is bridged to my address over here. And here I have a 192.168.10.11. Okay, that's not my static address. So if we take a look at my actual, that is my static address. So if we come over here and we take a look at my addressing, let's see how it's all set up here. This might be up from an old lab. Okay. Alright, see mine is set for manual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this address here. Show you how I like to do it. It's so much easier this way. Delete it. Then, excuse me. Then I'm going to set it to go automatic DHCP. I'm going to apply that. Now, in order for Linux to work, you have to bring the adapter up and down. So I'm going to disconnect my wireless, and I'm going to reconnect my wireless, and then I'm going to get a different IP address. And you'll see now 192.168.86 right here. You'll see that I'm now on the same address network as my wireless because 192.168.86.22 here, and over here I'm 192.168.86.24 over here, which means these two nodes, okay, can now speak to each other. Brings me to the next piece, okay. Now, here at this point, what I'm asking you guys to do, I want you guys to give me proof of all these different things that we've done. Okay, so you just select here, select all that information, give me a Control C over here in Linux. Okay, in Linux, I'm just going to type in text, and I'm going to open up my text. Oh, my bad. I'm going to open up my text editor, and I'm going to do a Control V. Arguing with me. I think I got off, but I screwed something up. Do it again. And now I have that saved on my Linux. Understand and remember, folks, that what you do in Linux, I just can't drag this over to the Windows side. They are virtually two separate machines. So now I come over to my Windows side, and I'm going to do the same thing. I don't need all the information that I have above. I just need the stuff that I'm talking about for this guy right here. I don't need to know about the Bluetooth and everything else. I just need to know about the adapter that I'm working with. So now I did a Control C on that. I should be able to open up my Windows, open up Notepad, and do a Control V there, and I was able to go ahead and paste that. So now I've got my Notepad file. Oh, hitting the wrong button, that's why. Okay, so I got my Notepad file for Windows, and I have my text file for Linux. So I just gathered proof of those two being done.
Professor, I can see your screen.
So now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to really take myself off the internet, which is going to be difficult for you guys trying to follow along. So I'm going to disconnect my internet connection because I'm going to make an IP address change on both of my devices here. So it says right-click the Windows icon, select the network connection, sharing center, blah, 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 blah. And it wants you to change your IP address to 192.168.10. something. Okay? And normally, if we were in the classroom, you would look at your monitor, and your monitor would say that you were at station number 15, or you were at station 12, or you're at station 3. And you would make your IP address 192.168.10 your monitor number. You don't have to do that. Okay? Here, you can just say, well, this is you know, my house, so I'm at computer 1, or I'm at computer 2. So what I'm going to do is make mine, okay, so I'm going to do the Windows one first, and the easiest way I found to do it is to come down here to my network connection and right-click it. Then I'm going to click a left-click, Open Network and Internet Settings. I'm going to scroll down to the Network and Sharing Center. I'm going to click that. It brings up this. Now, you might have Ethernet, you might have Wi-Fi. It's going to be dependent on how your network is set up. I'm not physically plugged into a switch right now, so my Ethernet connection doesn't show up, but my Wi-Fi one does. So I'm going to go ahead and take myself off the internet by selecting that with my left mouse. I'm going to hit Properties, and then right here, the Internet Protocol version 4, TCP/IP version 4. I'm going to double click that. Okay. Right now my computer is set for DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which means the router in my house, which has a built-in DHCP server, is supplying me with my DNS server, my IP address, and my default gateway. I'm going to say that I wanted to use what I have listed in the lab, which is 192.168.10. And I'm going to make this computer, I'm going to make it 2. Okay? I'm going to give it the default subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0. And since I'm not looking to get out on the internet right now, I don't have to put in a default gateway. I'm going to say OK. And then I have to say OK again, or it will not work. It will not take it. So then I'm going to hit close, and it takes me out of that. Now if I go back here and I do an IP config again, this time I'm just going to do an IP config because it gives me a little bit shorter list. You'll notice that here that my addressing has changed to the 192.168.10.2. And I just kicked everybody off of the Zoom session by doing that. But I'm going to keep on going through the lab, and then I'll get back on here in a little bit to let everybody know what had happened. Okay, actually I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to hop back on, put myself back on Zoom. So now what most of you probably noticed was that I was kicked off of the Zoom session because I changed my IP address to something that is not on our network. Okay. Now I'm going to make a different change in the lab just so it can work for you guys. I'm going to keep my computer on my personal network so that when I make those changes, it doesn't kick me off the Zoom for you guys. All right. I don't know why I'm muted. Oh, I think I got muted because when I got booted, I was no longer the host of the. I was no longer the host. But I am recording this whole thing, so I'll be able to put it up online for you. So I'm going to get back out of speaker view here, minimize this, and I'm going to jump back in over here, and I'm going to make that change back to my network. But instead of kicking myself off of my network and putting it on the 192.168.10 network, I'm going to keep it on my 86 network. Okay, so this way you guys. You might have a hiccup in the Zoom here real quick when I change that, but I just want to make sure, I want to do the lab with you. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do 192. And it's .86. And I just want to double check this real fast before I screw it up. Okay, so my DHCP server is 1, which means my DNS is also going to be 1. Okay, so I want to make sure that I can still hit the internet and talk to you guys. So I'm going to make that a 2. My subnet mask is still a 255.255.255.0. My default gateway is going to be 192.168.86.1. And I'm only doing this. This isn't part of the lab for you guys. You guys don't need to do this part. But I'm just doing this so you guys can still see what's going on in the Zoom. And I'm assuming you can. I don't have the Zoom open for me to see what's going on right now. And just in case, I'm going to use Google's free DNS servers as well, just to see if everything works. Let's say yes to that. And at the moment, it looks like we are still, looks like you guys are still online. Sweet. All right, so, okay. So Mike's not muted anymore. We're good to go. All right, we can close that up. So that is my Windows side. So now I'm going to jump over to my Linux side. and I want to put my Linux box, okay, I want to put my Linux box on the same network, okay, as my Windows box. Minimize that. I'm going to go into the settings of my Linux machine. Make it a little bigger so everybody can see what's going on. Hopefully you can all see it. And do the same thing. So the last one was 192.168.86.2. So I'm going to make this one 102. With any luck, I better check to make sure there's nothing on my network that I'm going to interfere with, like if my wife's upstairs working. She would probably be quite angry on me. So I'm going to ping 192.168.100.102. Make sure no one on my network is using that IP address before I go ahead and steal it. As you can see, the requests are timing out. So at this point here, I'm going to assume that nobody on my network is using .102. Now I'm going to hop back onto my Linux box. I'm going to manually assign 192.168.86. You see it's red right now because the Linux is saying this is not a good address until I say 102, because now I have all 4 octets in there. Unlike Windows, Linux will not autofill my my network mask, so I have to put it in. My default gateway is 192.168.86.1. Remember, in the lab, yours will be 10s. In order for my Linux machine to get on the internet, I'm going to need to make that 192.168.86.1, because the DNS is what converts the numbers to names, or names to numbers. I'm going to hit apply. Now I want to show you something here. If I do an ifconfig, you'll see that my number is still 192.168.86.24. As with Windows, in Windows you have to go OK and then OK twice for the IP address to take. In Linux, we have to turn it off and turn it back on. And this box here will be different based on what iOS of Linux you're using. The one that I'm using right now is Linux Mint. You still have an on-off button on your VirtualBox versions as well. But I'm just doing the lab using Mint just because I felt in a minty mood today. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my ifconfig again, and you can see that my IP address has changed to 102. Okay, so you can see that the work that I did took. Now I should be able from in here to ping my Windows machine, which is 192.168.86.2, and you can see that I can. And you will also be able to see that I should be able to ping 192.168.86.102 from my Windows machine. So what I have now is I have communication. I have a small miniature network working inside of my actual PC. Right? So that worked right there. Now there's another type of address that we have in our networks, and it's called a local host network. And what we're really doing when we ping that, and to do that, I just say ping 127.0.0.1, and I'm literally pinging my network card, is what some people would say. In reality, what I'm actually pinging is the network stack. I am confirming at this point that TCP/IP, the protocol stack itself, is bound to my network card. And I'm going to confirm that again by doing it with my Linux machine. You'll notice the Linux machine, the ping is still going. Pings in Linux will continue until you stop them. So I do a Control-C. There you go. Do a Control-C to cancel out of that ping. And I'm going to do a ping the 127.0.0.1 on this machine as well, on my Linux machine, just to demonstrate that it does work. And there you can see it's pinging that one as well, but I jumped out of that one nice and quick. The next step is to verify connectivity between the two nodes, which we've already done. Then you're going to go to Notepad and say, okay, I pinged that one, so let me make sure that one works. So here, I'll ping it again, just for the piece for my Notepad file. So I'm going to go ahead and ping that machine there. So here I'm going to go ahead and choose to copy that. I'm going to put that in my text editor. And then you do the same thing over here in Notepad. Take this information and put that in your Notepad file. Like so. And that's how you gather your information. So what's going to happen at the end of this lab is you're going to have to then submit two files to me. You're going to submit one through your Linux VM, because that has access to the internet. And you're going to have to submit the other file to me through your Windows machine, because you can't copy and paste between the two nodes. Okay? The next thing I want to show you in here, okay, next part of the lab is putting everything back on IPv4, dynamic IPv4 addressing, okay, which I'm not going to do, all right, because we can, what the heck, want to do it? Let's do it. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. I was just getting lazy. It happens. Okay, so I'm going to go to the properties of my Windows Wi-Fi. I'm going to open up my TCP/IP version 4. This is how you set it back to DHCP, right there. And remember, you had to hit OK twice in order for it to go away. So now, how do I make sure that that one is there? I just do an IP config. And you'll see my wireless LAN adapter is now back to 22. It was on 2. Come over here to my Linux box. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Go to my command prompt. Oh, sorry, go to my network settings in my Linux. I'm going to open up my network settings. There's a little cogwheel down here. I'm going to hit that. Go to IP version 4. Now, here's one of the things that I don't like about Mint. Okay, if I switch it over to automatic DHCP, you would naturally assume that everything's going to be just fine, right? You would naturally assume that. And I hit apply. And sometimes it works, and unfortunately, sometimes it does not. So I'm going to turn it off, turn it back on. Like so. And this time it works, so I can't sit there and complain about it not working. I can't tell you how many times it hasn't worked that way. But you see, it took the 86.24 and gave me the default route, which is also called my default gateway. And it gave me my DNS, which is 86.1. So that all worked. Okay? So that part of the lab is now done. So the next step that we have here in our lab is to set a static IP version 6 address on our PC. So the PC is the window box. So let's go over here to Windows and bring that up. Go to my properties. Now, instead of going to IP version 4 protocol, I'm going to go down a little bit to my IP version 6. I'm going to double click it. You can choose to not double click it, and you can choose to do it by left clicking one time and then choosing properties. Okay, so next, okay, we're going to make some changes here. We went into our network and sharing center, and we're going to, on the IPv6, we're going to do FD00, like so. We're going to do ::. Now, we're going to do the last 6 of our MAC address. Okay, so if we go back to our command prompt and we do an ipconfig space /all, okay, you'll see that the MAC address for my Wi-Fi adapter is right here. And 98, A2, and E7, okay, those are the last 6 placeholders that we have, last 12 characters. Okay, so I'm going to say Control-C to that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste those in. Now we can't use those hyphens. The hyphens need to be replaced with a colon. So I'm doing that. The prefix length is going to be 64. That is the default. And now my default gateway on this is going to be FD00::1. Now I'm hoping that when I do this, that it's not going to have an adverse effect on our Zoom session. We're going to find out here very shortly when I click OK twice. I'm hoping that the IPv4 section piece keeps us up online, and it looks like it has, so we're okay there. But now if I do an ipconfig/all, I should notice that my wireless LAN adapter just changed. There it is, FD::1, FD0::1, and I gave myself an IP address of FD00::98A2E7. That's the address that I just plugged in for my IP version 6. Now we have to jump over here and do the addressing for our Linux box, which really is pretty much the same thing. Okay, we're going to keep the IP version 4 part open. We're going to jump over, we're going to make it a manual address, and on this guy here, excuse me, on this guy here, we're going to make it FD00::, okay? Now we want to use the last 6 placeholders of our MAC address. So if we go up here, we should see our, I was pinging for a while, wasn't it? Okay, so here it is. There's my ENS, okay? There's my Internet 6 address. And I want the MAC address of this guy right here. Should be right here. There it is. So my hardware address is C918.2D. See that? They're calling it the hardware address. So C918.2D. So we should see that up here. Why I'm missing it for some reason. All I'm seeing is my it's not showing, the Ethernet address isn't showing. Oh, there it is. C918.2D. Okay, right there. I'm going to right click it and copy it. Come back over to here. Do Control V. Pop that bad boy in there. I'm still going to have a subnet prefix. That means what we're saying is when we do a subnet prefix on Windows or Linux is that the first 64 bits of this address are network, and the second 64 bits are going to be my hardware ID. So I'm going to make that a 64. Then my gateway on this is also going to be FD001:1. And there's my problem there. So too many in that one there. There we go. FD00:1. I'm going to apply those changes. And I'm going to turn that off and turn that back on. And there's my IP version 6 address working like a charm. Okay. Then you're going to open up your command prompt. You do an IP config. Make sure everything was working, and we just saw that it was on my Windows 1. And if I open up a terminal on this and do an IP config again, we'll see that our IPv6 address, okay, has now changed to FD00C918-2D on this guy here. And now we can also see, okay, that our Ethernet address is right here, which is also our hardware address, which is called our physical address, which is called our MAC address. So please don't forget all the different terms that we have for that. Next thing we want to do is verify that the different machines can ping each other using IP version 6. Now, IP version 6 pinging is different. We don't say ping and then just ping our IPv6 address. In Linux, we have to do a ping 6, like so, and then we want to ping the IPv6 address of our Windows machine, which is FD00::, and then it's going to be the hardware address of our Windows box on the end here. So that is going to be 98:A2:E7. And as you can see right there, I was able to ping IP version 6 across my network over to the Windows one. So working with IP version 6 is not any harder or any more difficult than working with IP version 4. And we should be able to come back the other way over here and do ping. Now with Windows, it's not ping 6, it's ping. Ping is the command, then -6. And we're going to ping FD00::, and we're going to do the IPv6 address, okay, of this box over here. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here so I can see my IPv6 address, and it is FD C918:2D. So I'm going to go C9. Notice I'm over here in the Windows box now. C9, and then 18:2D. And you can see that I got responses back from each. Copy, select, and copy and paste both of those into your text editor and into your notepad. And then put that into where you need it to be. You then want to go back and set everything back to where it was supposed to be, to put everything back onto into Dhcp. So when you're done that portion of the lab, and then after that, we're going to go and we're going to launch Wireshark to complete the last part of our devices, of our lab. So I'm going to go ahead and Wireshark lab, you can close it after you've submitted your file. You can go ahead and close out of your Linux workstation because the Linux Wireshark does not cannot be installed on the Linux workstation. So we're going to go and do everything in the Windows piece right now. Right now, I don't feel the need that to. I've already set my my Windows box to operate on Dhcp for Windows. So I'm just going to go ahead and set my Windows IP version 6 to go back to Dhcp. I do use the IP version 6 on my home network, so I want that to be like that. And now that's all set back up. And then I want to go in. I want to use Wireshark. If you haven't installed Wireshark on your machines, you might want to do that. It's a free program. All you can do is just run through the defaults of it. I got a lot running on my computer right now, so mine probably isn't going to be running as fast as I would like it to. And you can see already that I already have a problem. Okay, right there, it's not seeing my network card, so I'm going to have to go in and fix that, which is not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and install my Wireshark update. You can go ahead and watch that if you like. It's a good time. Got a pretty good speed running right there. So we're going to go ahead and install that update. And then I'm pretty sure I have an idea what's wrong with Wireshark, why it doesn't see my network card, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the update. We'll see if it sees it. If it doesn't see it, my network card the next time we turn it on, I'll work with you guys on how to troubleshoot that. Okay. Let us go ahead and finish this install. Anybody's wondering, President Trump is currently on Marine One heading back to the White House. Everybody doing okay with the lab so far? Or understanding what I'm doing? I guess you really can't work with me. Unless you change your IP address the way that I changed mine. That would work too. Ooh, I guess we'll agree. I don't need to do anything in compatibility mode. It's my WinCap that I want to make sure we have installed so that it sees our network cards. Oh, okay. Let's hit manual reboot later. Let's see if it still works for me. Looks like it's mad at us. All right, it did work. So there's my Wi-Fi connection. You can tell that my Wi-Fi connection is up because you can see the little graph working right there. So that's the guy we're going to use. I'm just going to double click it. Okay. And this is everything right now that is currently going on my machine. It's capturing everything that's happening. And there's a lot happening on our machine right now because we have a Zoom session going, we have the internet going, we have email going, I've got Packet Tracer running. My machine is going ballistic right now with all of the network activity that we're running. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that little stop button right there to stop capturing all those packets. But this is a great program that you're going to learn how to use as network administrators to find out what it is that's going on in your networks. Okay, so we have Wireshark running right now. Okay, and we highlighted our NIC. We're going to click the shark fin. Okay, after the web page loads. Okay, we're going to open a browser and we're going to see a web page. So I'm going to go ahead real quick here. I'm going to start a new Wireshark. We're already using our current network card, so we're good there. We're going to capture a new package going on. I'm going to hit this, then so we're going to continue without saving that old one. Then I'm going to open up a browser. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Chrome or Edge. Let's just do Edge. It's just faster. Okay, so I'm going to open up Edge. Okay, so as it's going out right now, and it's going to try to find the home page that's currently happening here. And we can say hit anything else too. Let's have it hit myhack.hack.edu, all that stuff. So it just found those two things. I'm going to jump back over here. I know I got a lot of stuff open. I'm going to jump back over. I'm going to stop this from running, okay, because we just captured a lot of information, okay. So what I want to look for now was a DNS query, because when I opened up the web browser, what actually occurred was when Edge opened up, it went out to find a web page. And to do so, it said, hey, this guy's trying to go out to Microsoft or MSN or to Hack or somewhere else. And it needed to find an IP address, okay, for that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look for, okay, the DNS activity, the domain name service activity when it said, where's the home page? So we take a look, okay, we go over here, and we go back to Edge, okay, and when it tried to find the home page for Edge, which was this guy right here, it had to find that page, okay, and so it had to ask the internet, hey, Mr. DNS server, what's the IP address for this page? So, and I also said, go to Hack, okay, find that page. So now we're going to jump back over to here to this. We're going to say, where is the DNS? I'm going to go up here to my filter. We're going to apply a filter. That's this top bar right here. And I'm going to put in, we want to locate DNS. We're going to, in this bar here, I'm going to put in DNS. There had to have been something that was found in DNS. I'm going to hit enter. And these are all the DNS queries that happened in that brief amount of time that we had the Wireshark running. There was a lot going on here, okay? Because not only am I running IP version 4, but as you can see, I'm also running IP version 6 on my network. These are all DNS queries that happened in that, 30 seconds that we were running everything. You'll see I've got IP version 4 queries running. So you see that right here, 192.168, okay, the source came from 192.168.86.22. That's my PC, okay? It asked 192.168.86.1, my router, how do I get something? Now, see that quad A right there? That means that it was looking for an IP version 6 for the network time protocol for MSN.com. It was trying to get information on how to get where it needed to go. And you can see down here, it found it. Found all the information it was looking for. So you can see, you look at the source IP, which is my PC, and then you can look at the information section, okay, which is down here. So when I double click this, okay, this is just a blown up version of what's down there, okay, and I can see all the different stuff that's going on. Now this is broken down really into the 4-layer TCP/IP protocol stack. But I'm going to look right now at the Internet Protocol version, IPv4. Okay, and move this out of the way. I'm going to look at the IPv4 section, all right, which is right here, and we can just see that just how this is all the information that's traveling through here. You see here that it is using the UDP, which is a non-connection oriented protocol. Then we were looking for the DNS, which is this piece right here, and this is the information, okay, that we got in the DNS query, okay, and this is how the packet would then stand up and how it would look, okay. So what we want to do, I'm going to get out of this piece right here. Okay? If I right-click on this stream right here, and there's a lot of streams I can choose, but I'm going to choose this guy right here. Actually, I want to look for a different one. Let's see if I can get a cooler response for it. Let's see if we can find the one where we try to go to hack.edu. All the MSN stuff. Should have been the last piece that we did, right? There it is. Hack.edu. Okay, so here's where we try to go into there. There's the IP version 6 version of hack.edu. Standard query, hack.edu, from my PC to my router. Okay. At this point, I'm going to right-click it, and what I want to do is I want to follow the UDP stream for this. Okay, and that's all it gives me. And then I can close out, because what I've really done here is I've summarized the conversation of trying to find the information for hack.edu. That's what I've done by following my stream. And now I can look at my stream, and then I can see that I'm using UDP. I can see when what I have responses. Okay, so that was a response to my query right here. And in the middle of the Wireshark window, okay, I have a UDP header, and then I can view the ports in my UDP header. And you'll see I have source port 57240, and then I have my destination port, which was 53. Now, what you want to get out of this is that when I was talking to my router, I said, "Hey, Mr. Router, I have a question for you. What is the IP address of hack.edu?" And it knew that it was a DNS request because of port 53. Because 53 is a well-known port number for DNS. It's set that way in the system. But 57240 is not a registered port number. That was a randomly generated port number so that the router knew where to send the request back on my network. Okay? But this is the most important piece right here, that we know that this is a DNS query. If I come over here and I say from 86 to 22 and take a look at that guy, you'll see that we will also have some information, okay, And the source port, which is the router in this case, is using 53 DNS, and it's sending it to me here. So what we really want to make sure we're getting out of this whole thing is that the source ports are used to keep track of all the simultaneous conversations that are occurring on my computer. Now, if you remember when we first opened up Wireshark in this lab, how it went absolutely ballistic on capturing all that data, that's a lot of networking information that is occurring on my computer that I don't even recognize is going on at this time. So how do I keep track of the Zoom session? How do I keep track of my search for MSN? How do I keep track of my mail? I keep track of all that information by source ports. So ports are used to keep track of all of our conversations that are occurring on our network simultaneously. Okay. After this part here, you're going to then go through and you're going to export your packet. Okay, you're going to export the specified packet, and you're going to send that packet to me on your Windows side of your D2L submission to me. Okay. That was the lab, folks. I hope you got something good out of it. I'm going to go ahead and stop our packet, or we already stopped the packet patcher. I'm going to stop the recording, and you can go ahead and submit your labs to me. I will post this lab on D2L.